Test, 1, 2, test, test, Shabbat Shalom. Test, test, thank you.
It was my sophomore year. I transcribed from beginning to end of the record for months. I remember I was so obsessed with Jerry Mulligan. So I think I'll be all right. I'm pumped though. It's like I've never got to play it. I even told Adam, I was like, man, how the best that I would have been able. Yeah, I was like, because he was like, hey. I don't want to play like slap. I play Birth of the Cool, man. You know. Couple rehearsals just for that one. But that's the way it is on a record, right? Like I was thinking about that, like. Yeah, what was his name? Who was it? Yeah, they're happening. You know, that was Max Roach. Yeah. That's I'm not. What is Kenny Clark? Shut up. I'm curious now. Yeah, sure. Udo. That sounds about right. Oh, by like the Phillies. Yeah, they sound. Right? They like totally the whole thing. Yeah, but it's. I love that about that record. Like, oh. Thank you. I hope we don't mess it up tonight. That's a nice compliment before the gig. You know. Thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's a weird record though because it was recorded. Yeah. I think like 49. I don't even think they. a couple years, they just like, yeah, at least chronologically. No, it's definitely era, but it never. But because it's weird. Yeah, yeah, way ahead of its time for sure. Yeah, I'm excited to play. That's gonna be fun. We're doing like the whole record with like. Yeah, I'm excited. Transfusion. Yeah, when we were in college, we did a couple of the tunes from that, but it wasn't like the exact. All have like the same name, right? They're all like 2-syllable names with 3 vowels. It's like I can't.
No, no, no.
I know what you mean. I never took it, but I remember. Oh, that's cool. What class? Oh, okay. Yeah.
Taught that class. Yeah, I've heard people talk about it.
Oh yeah, I remember him. Best friend with, I don't know, trumpet player in town who plays flute, Stanislaw. Like every once in a while, like actually just kind of recently, I want to say like 6 months ago, I was walking and I saw the two of them like sitting in like an outdoor dining facility, like, having a glass of wine. Good. Did he have health issues? Oh, okay. Yeah, he looked good. I forget what class I know I had a class with him. Do you have any with him? Yeah. Class? Oh, you didn't take that one? That was a good one. Yeah, he did. He did, yeah. Yeah. Gabe is blacklisted from this place.
I named Rick Goddess. Yeah, first time before.
Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, lie,
Shabbat Shalom. Along with Cantor Hyman and Rabbi Friedman and our president, Hank Bernstein, it is a joy to welcome congregants and friends and guests online and in the sanctuary as we join together to celebrate Shabbat. Let's be sure to be among community. Please take this moment to introduce yourself in the comments or turn around and find someone new to greet.
Kind of, like, I feel like I know, as soon as I see it, I'd be like, oh, yeah. Okay. I'm sure I would know. Not here right now, though? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, man. Make the rounds.
This Shabbat, we celebrate the bat mitzvah of Martina Berkowitz. Mazel tov to Martina, to her parents, Audrey Zeplatal and Ross Berkowitz, and her brother Hans. And we welcome them to kindle our Shabbat lights, page 2.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Our Shabbat Kiddush is on page 5.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ava u'v'ratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikra'ei kodesh zecher letziat Mitzrayim kivanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ava u'v'ratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat לחיים.
This week was International Women's Day. I cannot say I observe it loyally. Maybe every day is Women's Day for some of us. But to mark it, I'd like to share a story about one of the Israeli leaders who has been leading the fight for democracy in Israel. Rabbi Gilad Kariv, past director of the Reform Movement in Israel, and now a member of Knesset, Israeli parliament, the only Reform rabbi elected to Knesset, is a courageous warrior for Israel, justice, feminism, LGBTQ rights, Palestinian rights, anti-racism, and progressive Judaism. Every month at Rosh Chodesh, the new Hebrew month, Women at the Wall holds a service at the Kotel, the Western Wall, where women are prohibited from praying in a service or out loud praying or reading from Torah because the Kotel is under the authority of the ultra-Orthodox rabbinate. Well, this month, Rabbi Kariv smuggled a Torah scroll into the circle of women. I watched a video of it, and I noticed as he smuggled the Torah scroll to the women, he said to the men standing with him, "I will now bring this scroll to the women," and then he instructed the men, "and we will all say amen to their blessings." In doing so, he taught them how to serve as an ally, to say amen to another's blessing. It's a part of allyship, it's a part of advocacy. And today in Shabbat community, we too are connected and say amen to each other's blessings. We sing together in Kabbalat Shabbat, page 10.
החמה מראש האילנות נסתלקה, בואו ונצא לקראת שבת המלכה. הנה היא יורדת הקדושה הברוכה, ועמה מלאכים צבא שלום מנוחה. בואי בואי המלכה, בואי בואי הכלה, שלום עליכם מלאכי השלום. The sun on the treetops no longer is seen. Come gather to welcome the Sabbath, our Queen. Behold her descending, the holy, the blessed, and with her the angels of peace and of rest. Draw near, and here abide. Draw near, O Sabbath bride. Peace also to you, you angels of peace.
We welcome Shabbat with joy with Lecha Dodi, pages 20 and 21.
Lecha Dodi לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה ולשבת נקבלה שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד ישמיענו אל המיוחד אדוני אחד ושמו אחד לשם ותפארת ולתחילה לך דודי לקראת כלה ולשבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה ולשבת נקבלה לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה כי מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נסוכה סוף מעשה ומחשבה תחילה לך דודי לקראת כלה ולשבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה ולשבת נקבלה התעוררי התעוררי כי באורך אורי 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 שיר דברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה לך דודי לקראת כלה ולשבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה ולשבת נקבלה
Please rise.
בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה ובצהלה תוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי חלה בואי חלה לך דודי לקראת כלה ולשבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה ולשבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה ולשבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה ולשבת נקבלה.
Turning to page 28, we remain standing for our call to worship.
Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Do you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Ya-la-la-la-la, 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 ya-la-la-la-la. Barechu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed, Le'olam va'ed. Ya-la-la-la-la, 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 ya-la-la-la-la,
top of page 31 together. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows.
Baruch atah Adonai,
Hama'ariv
Aravim.
Aravim, on the middle of page 32. Together. Everlasting love, you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai, our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Page 34.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
Page 36. Please be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
The top of page 39, together. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. Page 40.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, תורה תהילו אוסף אלך, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילו עושה בלב, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, לך, ראו בניך. בוקע היה לפני משה ומרים, זה אלי ענו ואמרו, זה אלי ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך באלים אדוני.
Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace and raise us up, our guardian, to life renewed. Page 42.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו, שומרנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו, שומרנו לחיים. ופרוס עלינו, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך. ופרוס עלינו, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו, שומרנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו, שומרנו לחיים. ופרוס עלינו, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך. ופרוס עלינו, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו, שומרנו לחיים.
Pray as if everything depended on God. Act as if everything depended on you. Page 46 and following. Please rise.
Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehillatcha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Ya la 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 la, lai, gala lai lai 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 lai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezocher Chasdei Avot Ve'imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei Vneihem, Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer, Umoshia Umagen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magin Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor leolam Adonai, Mechaye hakol atah Rav lehoshia. Mashiv haruach umorid hagashem, Mechalkel chaim bechesed, Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim. סומך נופלים ורופא חולים ומתיר אסורים ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומיתו מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל ברוך אתה אדוני מחיה הכל אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה ברוך אתה אדוני Ha'el HaKadosh.
Please be seated. Turning to page 61, let us join together in our blessing for peace. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamvarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom. We take these moments for silent prayer.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו, ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן.
In a moment, we will be on page 253 for our blessing for healing. In this week's Torah portion about the building of the golden calf, Moses breaks the tablets of the Ten Commandments, and another set needs to be inscribed. But those original broken tablets do not get discarded. They are preserved and later carried in the Holy Ark alongside the new intact tablets. We do not hope for brokenness, and we do not say that brokenness in our lives is worth it or meant to be. But its existence in our holiest words deepens our relationship with tradition. Because if the Torah's words were only of wholeness, our tradition might feel less real. The Talmud teaches, take care to respect an old man who, through unavoidable circumstance, has now forgotten what he knew. For Torah says that both the whole tablets and the shattered tablets were placed in the ark. If you have a loved one in need of healing, mind, body, or spirit, please add that name to the comments or speak it aloud now.
אבותינו אברהם, יצחק ויעקב, שרה, רבקה, רחל ולאה, הוא יברך וירפא את החולים. מי שברך אבותינו אברהם, יצחק ויעקב, שרה, רבקה, רחל ולאה, הוא יברך וירפא את החולים. אל נא רפא לה, אל נא רפא לה, אבותינו אברהם, יצחק ויעקב, שרה, רבקה, רחל ולאה, הוא יברך וירפא את החולים.
The Hebrew word for gratitude, hakarat hatov, literally means recognizing, noticing the good. It's sometimes hard to see the good in our lives, but Jewish tradition pushes us to always try to find that. And so we hope that all of you here and online, reflecting on your past week or the week coming up, days coming up, can think of can recognize, hopefully, at least one good thing. And we hope that if there's something especially exciting in your lives, a simcha, a joyous moment, that you'll want to share it with our congregation, either writing in the chat or here in the sanctuary. Anyone got anything fun happening? Maybe tomorrow morning? Anything exciting? Oh, Martina, becoming a bat mitzvah. Mazel tov to you, to your whole family. I see Rachel, yeah. That's pretty amazing. I love it. Lost your tooth, I love that. Elijah, your birthday. Are you turning 13 by any chance? Oh. And we got a
13th.
Ooh.
13th. On the
13th. And we got a bar mitzvah coming up in a couple weeks. Yeah, we're excited. Yeah, Jocelyn. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Josie. Who else? Oh, Karen. Another one? Happy birthday, Karen. Jacob. Wow, congratulations. Way to go. That's amazing. I think I saw a nice trophy on Facebook. A nice picture. Yeah, Mazel Tov. Oh, and Sue. Wow, Mazel Tov. Welcome back, Marion. Always great to see you, and happy birthday to the family. It's so wonderful. Great grandchildren. I can't believe that. How amazing. Anyone else? Well, for all of these simchas and so many more, we join together in gratitude on page 344 with the words of Shehechianu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהחיינו וקיימנו לזמן הזה.
I'll start with an embarrassing story. One of those sort of like duh moments, or as the kids on social media would say, I was today years old when I learned. You guys seen that? You know that one? Yeah, okay. So I was living in Jerusalem in a neighborhood called Nachlaot, which is near the Machane Yehuda market, the shuk. And Nachlaot, this neighborhood, is known for having more synagogues in one little square mile than anywhere else, probably in the world. And most of them are very small, little sort of ethnic communities, sort of following Israel's various waves of immigration. So I was actually at a Syrian synagogue. These are Jews that fled Syria sort of in the late 40s, 50s due to persecution and came to Israel. And I was at a Syrian synagogue with a friend of mine who was actually of Syrian Jewish descent. Now, what blew my mind was they had these prayer books just like ours, but ours have Hebrew on one side, English on the other. Theirs had Hebrew on one side and, what do you think? Arabic, because that was the language that these Jews had all grown up speaking. That was their vernacular. So I'm looking at it, and we get to the page with Shema on it. And I see the beautiful Hebrew Shema, and then I see Arabic on the other side. And I say to my friend, I was generally curious, I said, oh, what is the Hebrew, for the Hebrew, Adonai, God's name, what's the Arabic translation? How do they translate it? My friend looked at me like I was a complete idiot, and thankfully, in not too much of a condescending voice, looked at me and said, Allah. Duh. Of course, the Arabic word for God is Allah. But it took seeing that translation in a Jewish prayer book for me to really understand something quite profound. All my life up until that point, when I had thought about this name, Allah, I thought of a different God. Every time Muslims spoke about praying to Allah, in my mind, I was thinking they were praying to some other God. But Jews who grew up in Arabic-speaking countries also call God Allah. There's a saying in Thailand, I traveled there with my brother years ago, same, but different. Anyone heard that one before? Yes, we are talking about the same God, Allah, Adonai, God, the divine, the eternal. They're all names for the same oneness. Yet, Jews and Muslims relate very differently to that same God. Even among our own congregation, we all relate differently to that same God. We say the same words in our prayers, but each of us brings our own kavanah, our own intention, to that image of the divine. One of the differences between Jews and Muslims is actually revealed in the very names of our people. For Jews, we are called Yisrael, Israel. Before there was ever a country, the Jewish people were called Israel. And it literally means one who wrestles, who struggles with the divine, with God. We Jews, we debate, 2 Jews, 3 opinions. Islam, by contrast, is actually an Arabic word which means submitting. Islam is fundamentally an action, a way of living one's life before God. A Muslim is one who submits to God and aligns their life with what plan God has made. Now, one name is not better than any other, but they're very different ways of relating to the same God. Same, but different. And the differences are really important. But even more important is what we do with those differences. Some of us, sadly, there are those in society that use those differences to sow division and mistrust. However, others use those differences to better understand each other and ourselves. In her new book, Holy Envy, Writing in the Jewish Christian Border Zone, University of Utah professor Mira Yaffa Schreiber describes this eponymous idea, holy envy. She writes, with this term, the Swedish bishop Stendhal, who first coined it, means us to understand that real interfaith encounters require more than mutual tolerance. Instead, such meetings demand that one be not merely open to recognizing what is admirable about a faith tradition other than one's own, but also open to actively recognizing that a different tradition has features absent from one's own faith, thus acknowledging a genuine lack and recognizing an object of envy. Sometimes, such cross-religious forays, as we shall see, can be more challenging, more painful, and more risky. End quote. While Judaism, Islam, and Christianity are all similar in that we are monotheistic traditions, we all look to Abraham as our ancestor, we have major differences. And I'm envious of some of them. Now, I'm not talking about that Christmas tree jealousy or anything like that, but perhaps major theological differences in which we might be able to gain insight from each other. For instance, Judaism, with its focus on the present world we live in, doesn't focus much on the afterlife. It's not that Judaism totally ignores it, it's just not the foundation of our tradition. By contrast, Christianity and Islam focus much more on the afterlife. How might we better understand the Jewish conception of afterlife through learning more about the Christian and Muslim vision of it? Now, I'm not looking to convert anytime soon, much to the dismay of some of my evangelical friends. But that doesn't mean I can't appreciate aspects of other traditions and find ways that they might inform my own. Holy envy may be a modern term, but Judaism has looked to other traditions throughout our history and benefited from the experience. In just a few weeks, we'll be celebrating Passover. Passover is so heavily influenced by Hellenistic thought. The ancient Greek symposium, like Plato's symposium, was a banquet with drinking and music and conversation. Sounds a little like a Seder to me. Similarly, if you've ever heard of the Socratic method, right? It's a process of asking questions to try to come to some sort of better understanding, kind of like the 4 questions in the Seder. The Haftarah reading this week describes a interreligious dialogue of sorts from the 9th century BCE. The prophet Elijah is called by God to challenge the prophets of Baal and Asherah. Baal, a Canaanite storm god, and Asherah, a fertility goddess, often depicted as a tree, were major gods of the pagan tribes living alongside the early Israelites. And we've seen from our own texts and from archaeological records that many Israelites did not practice monotheism the way we know it today, and probably dabbled a little bit in paganism and worshiped these gods periodically. So Elijah gathers the entire community, Israelites and others, at Mount Carmel and issues a challenge to the other prophets, sort of like a sacrifice off. Now, as you might have guessed, especially because of who the author is, in our text, Elijah wins, and his sacrifice beats all the others, and the assembled people all see our God's power, and they fling themselves on the ground, and they cry out, actually a line we use in our Yom Kippur service at the very end, Adonai alone is God, Adonai hu ha-Elohim. I have some exciting news. We are going to be gathering with interfaith partners, Muslim and Christian neighbors, congregants from Masjid Allah and the Perfecting Church for some upcoming programming. We'll be sacrificing some bulls, and we're going to see which God is... No, I'm totally joking, not at all. In fact, I think Elijah might have been a little bit misguided in his early attempts at interfaith dialogue. Unlike Elijah, we are not looking to compete. We are not trying to win anyone over or convert anyone. We're just looking to understand one another better. This year, Ramadan, Easter, and Passover all coincide, and we're using this opportunity to better understand these 3 holy seasons. I hope you'll join us. There's information in the program beginning this Tuesday, where we'll be gathering at Masjid Allah to learn all about Ramadan. Recently, some of you might have seen that Masjid Allah was vandalized. The imam from the mosque, who's now become a close friend of mine, Imam Idris, immediately texted me and Pastor Kevin from the Perfecting Church to let us know. Because of our relationships and our congregation's commitment to standing up for one another, we immediately issued a joint statement condemning the vandalism. We all know it is so much more powerful when a synagogue, a mosque, and a church stand together against hate. So much more powerful than any of us standing alone. Because hate is not a Muslim issue. It's not a Jewish or Christian issue. It's a justice issue for all of us. I shared earlier today with a group of leaders, some of our own members of our Israel Connectors group and other leaders in the greater Philadelphia area working on Israel issues. I shared a story as the head of ARTSA, the American Reform Zionist Association, Rabbi Josh Weinberg, joined us, I shared a story about Elijah the prophet, and I talked about how Mount Carmel was the ancient site where Elijah competed with those prophets of Baal and Asherah. And yet, even with all the troubles in Israel today, this little mountain in the north of Israel, Mount Carmel, can be an aspirational symbol for us today of interreligious dialogue. This mountain is a holy mountain to so many different peoples. The Muslims call this mountain Jabal Mar Elias, the Mount of Elijah. The Christian Carmelite monks have been living and worshiping there since the 12th century. Mount Carmel is considered a sacred place for the Baha'i faith. Some of you might have even seen those famous Baha'i gardens in Haifa that are right there. And the majority of the Druze community in Israel lives and worships on the slopes of Mount Carmel. What a powerful message. A place that was once a site of religious fighting later can become a place of religious coexistence. One site that can be so holy to so many. The same physical space, yet each of our religions has a different connection to it. Same, but different. Shabbat Shalom. We continue in our prayer book now with Aleinu as we turn to page 282, followed by 287. Please rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד ארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינת עוזו בגובהי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. This week, our congregation observes yahrzeit for Alfred A. Abrahams, Darla Ann Ashby, Beatrice Barg, Rosalind Bass, Rebecca Ann Baum, Jenny Beck, Seymour Beer Jr., Sylvia Bergen, Clara Landman Berkowitz, Raymond Berman, Myra Bernstein, Arthur L. Bloom, Louis Bogdanoff, Regina Freudenreich Brenman, Marjorie Berger, Deborah Clark, Judy Clark, Louis Clark, Joel Cohen, Emil Cohn, Janet Craig Dalsheimer, Roy David, Max Ehrenberg, Deborah Ehrlich Murphy, Joe Fisher, Edith Cohen Fisher, Samuel J. Garfield, Eleanor Garson, Lena Ginsberg, Sadie Goldberg, Aaron S. Goldberg, Joseph Henry Goldston, George A. Gatto, Yetta F. Goulson, Margaret Gertzley Gratz, Ruth Light Green, William Gross, Samuel P. Gross, Dora G. Grunberg, Kirk Habby, David Eli Hahn, Wilma O. Hess, George I. Israel, Leonard Jacobs, Noima Kavitsky Jaffe, Beatrice B. Kalsheim, Stella Hirsch Kahn, Myron Kaplan, David Kapustin, Sally Katz, Alfred Kirschbaum, Adolf Klein, Nathan Klein, Claire Wiener Kleinberg, Louis Cobb, Melvin Robert Korn, Jacob Kosman, Morris Kraftso, Heidi Cristal, Sadie A. Laventhal, Eunice Lazen, Abe Levitt, Larry Levy, Jeremy A. Lifsey, Robert Livingston, Etta O. Lockheim, Walter F. Lyons, Jacob Mandel, Ronnie Mumjian, Martin Perlman, Marjorie Magaziner Pincus, Harry C. Rollick, Joseph Walter Rosenbluth, Keith L. Sachs, Samuel P. Saunders, Penrose T. Schoeneman, Alvin Siegel, Anna Seichik, Sarah Scheuer, Michael Silberman, Harold Silo, Louis Silverstein, Carol R. Simon, Selma Valenstein Singer, Usher Sclaver, Mark Smith, Jeanette Stam Specht, Jeanette Spector, Thomas Spector, Morris Sperling, Blaine Steinberg, Margaret F. Stern, Belva Heyman Tassman, Judah Tickton, Phyllis L. Topol, Claire Wessel, Dr. Hope S. Wisnia, Minnie Wohl, Bertha Cohn Youngman, Helen Mark Zander, Norbert Zeelander. We add the names of those who've been taken from our midst, but not from our hearts in these most recent days. Irit Apteker, Alan Blesnick, Naomi Bremen, Alexander Wolf Fogel, Ivor Martin Hughes, Lawrence Cagle, Rosalind Kessler, Norman Woljan. If you are observing Yartzeit or Shaloshim for a loved one whose name was not mentioned, I invite you to write their names in the chat or to speak their names aloud at this time. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be a blessing. We turn in our prayer book to page 294 and rise for the mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabbah, v'alma divrach cherutei v'amlich malchutei, v'chaye chon v'yomei chon v'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'gala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shemei rabbah mevarach le'alam omei omaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal, shemei dekudisha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran bi'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to each of us. And may we all say, Amen.
Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru, amen.
We wish you a Shabbat Shalom. If this is your first time here, I'd like to know more about the congregation. I hope you'll introduce yourself to wonderful RS congregant Jordan Marks, who's waving there in the back, or our membership assistant Nave Barlow, who's right there with him. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions and to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will.
Yevarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha, Ya'er Adonai panav eilecha v'chuneka, Yisa Adonai panav eilecha וישם לך שלום. יברכך אדוני וישמרך. יאר אדוני פניו אליך ויחונקה. יישא אדוני פניו אליך וישם לך שלום. יברכך אדוני וישמרך.
May God bless us and keep us.
יאר אדוני פניו אליך ויחונקה.
May God's light shine upon us and may God be gracious to us.
יישא אדוני פניו אליך וישם לך שלום.
May we feel God's presence within us always, and may we find peace. Ken Yiratzon, may this be God's will. Amen. Shabbat Shalom.